I guess we could also talk about, we talked about running the Wars game for 20 sessions. It's coming up.
Yeah, that's coming up quick.
You know what's crazy is how little in-game time has actually passed versus the sessions. Like after that last session was done, I was just scratching my head on my way to work going, man, within the course of like less than a week, we have experienced this whole breadth of stuff.
Yeah, I guess I could have fast forwarded some points, but I don't know. I've just been sort of letting it go on like a slow burn.
I think it's pretty good at times. Yeah, I like that.
I've also thrown a lot at you guys.
That's.
I'm kind of. There's no character break, so like I'm starting to feel that now, where it's like, wow, I haven't had a chance to interact with the characters except for emergencies, and we kind of want to get that stuff into it too, which we haven't had a chance to.
I kind of felt bad. Like last time, I was like, oh yeah, we'll have a character session or whatever, and then it's like we're gonna go in this ship. I'm like, damn it, all right.
That's our fault.
So that's where the baby's
going.
No,
that's Phil's fault for writing 100 years to you about what can be and stuff.
Yeah, Phil gave me this like
alien. Sure, we'll throw that one in there. This
list of like 40 things. It's like, wow, there's a ton of great ideas here.
You should have sparsed them out slowly to Tim, 2 at a time.
Like every time someone asks for something like that, I'm like, oh, I can't just give them 1 or 2. I was like, all right, Phil, sit down, let's brainstorm. I just like 1, 2 right here. I just like a whole night before I went to work, I was just typing this all up. And then even when I was at work, I was just thinking of different ideas and stuff. And then I was like, all right, here you go, Tim. 40 ideas.
All right, so I promise, next time we play, whenever that is, I'm going to try not to throw anything at you guys. So we'll see if that works.
Now we can actually let things sink in a bit.
Yeah, we got a friendly alien to train.
Friendly.
Yeah, we got the baby Quay on board.
Oh, so you did keep him. Good.
Yeah, we ended up keeping him. We couldn't actually we couldn't give him back to the Quay because it turns out that baby comes from an enemy clan of these Quay. Kind of like, and it's like full circle, like just like with us, how there's different factions of us, there's different factions of the Quay, and us bringing that youngling on board was a big mistake. One of the females or something started tearing into the ship, and like my character went over there with I grabbed like a coolant thing out of it, and I just sprayed her in the face with it, and I got everyone on board. And just out of spite, because it was still chasing us, I had the ship angled because I gave Bryce the coordinates so he can kick up dirt in its face.
Yeah, I think David was frustrated a little bit. He's like, "Wait a minute, why are they acting so like crazy like this?" It's like, well, we're having a blood feud.
That's why I was pushing that whole faction thing. I'm like, you gotta. To me, one of the best parts was right at the beginning of that is when we first met the 2 guards. She picked them up and hucked them. She bounced off the ground. She went flying.
She bounced him off the asteroid surface
like a super ball. She bounced him.
Yeah.
40 yards.
And then Bryce was like a flash. He was like, ran over there and grabbed him and ran back before we could do anything. I'm like, oh, okay. Didn't know Bryce could do that.
Yeah, that was
zero.
That was freaky. That was freaky. I was like, okay.
I think he has a power he can move like 40 yards faster in a round or something like that. It's been slowly building up too. He hasn't used it until now. So.
Oh, I was starting to use my Kaizen powers too.
Yeah.
I ended up catching on fire, which is kind of ironic because the Quay use heat to express themselves, and Theo used heat when he got really pissed off at him because he's like, "Look, we just went through all this trouble to get you this little baby back, and you all are just acting like..." He had no idea, like no idea there was like these enemy factions and stuff. And he's like, "All right, whatever." Now we got
himself using up all the oxygen.
When Tim brought that up, I'm like, oh, you're right. Oh, jeez. Take that. I take helmet. I take the helmet off.
Yeah, I bet you could probably stop giving us Kaizen powers. Like,
yeah, probably.
I think we're fine at this point.
Yeah,
one of my last things is like I ignore all like armor and stuff. So now I can just punch my hand through things.
Yeah, I probably could.
I'm not really sure how much stronger.
I was looking at my list of Kaizen powers. I'm like, wow, I've only used like 2 of those. So
yeah, you guys really haven't used much of them.
I've been lucky. Like at the beginning, I got to use them right off the bat. Fighting the robots because that's really what I was set up to be. But yeah.
I was trying to like find good opportunities to like have mine emerge out that seems logical or something like that. I think now it's starting to make sense though. Of course, now when I was at work, because I can make flame stuff, I kept having these now like uber fantasies of like, oh dude, I kept imagining like he was like in like anime fashion. He's like in a corridor. There's like enemies barreling down, and he just like compresses flame into like this really dense hot balls. Just launches it down there. I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like you can definitely see the game turning into like just kind of like a space opera into a more like almost a supers game.
Yeah, it's what I was kind
of supers in space. It's basically what we were playing.
And I kind of mentioned that at first, and you guys were like, "Well, I don't really. Is that what it's like?" I'm like, "Well, it's kind of like Star Wars and space opera and."
You're like the Force powers, but I'm like, I don't remember seeing Luke ever punch his hand through a wall.
Yeah, and then I was like, it kind of has supers in there too. It's I don't know, it's different.
Yeah. I just don't really care because I haven't been bothered to really deal with my Kaizen powers.
Yeah, I kind of figured that out the one day. I was like, well, how many points did you spend? They're like, I got good sword stuff.
Like, I don't care because I don't want. It's more of a pain in the ass for me than it's worth to deal with powers because I don't really want to be that much of a combat badass or anything, and I really don't want to deal with that many things. So
my guy was meant to be a scientist, and the Kaizen powers made him a warrior. I had no.
I mean, I'm fine. Fine fluff-wise, it's not something I desperately want. Getting cool powers is not anything that interests me inherently in a game. So, and like I'm pretty much at this point burned out on gaming in general. I'm just finishing this because I've already done the character creation for it, so no reason to drop out or anything. But I don't have any interest in doing more math and dealing with more of the mechanics than I have to.
I don't know. It was pretty cool when you walked through the room cutting everyone up.
That was really awesome.
The powers themselves are cool. It's just they're not worth messing with or going through and figuring out exactly.
Yeah, I guess that is pretty crunchy, huh? All the points and things.
Yeah, I mean, I would be happy with if you would just like, okay, you have these that are innate. Because that's basically what I would do. Since they're sword powers, I would basically just take as many innate ones as I can have. And those could be the ones I had. So I'm happy with you just going, you can have this many innate powers, and then I pick them and I'm done. But it was like, how many Kaizen do I have? How many can I buy with XP, etc.?
Would you say, Joe?
The majority of this, like, I'm lucky that the majority of my stuff is innate stuff. It just adds to my non-existing stats or whatever, especially strength ones.
Yeah.
I don't really have to worry about that crunch part. I just know how much I can lift, and I just go by that when it comes into like fighting or anything like that.
Well, as far as the power level go, this is actually kind of experimental for me. As one of these things you experiment with things, sometimes they blow up in your face or whatever. But I don't usually give out this much power. I usually do like 0 to hero. So I was like, this time I'm just going to give him the kitchen sink and everything else, and just see what happens. And it's been interesting because you guys, like I said, haven't really been using them. It's like, well, that's interesting. It's almost like, you guys don't even want them. So maybe I should just, they kind of peter out,
Well, in my case, all mine are sword powers, and there have been very few situations where I've had the ability to use, which is fine. I don't want a ton of combat, but, they're all combat powers, they're all sword things, and so I just haven't had much opportunity.
True.
I'm going to get you to start using your ice powers.
Yeah, I could, but I basically decided there are 2 trees, and I basically decided I just want to invest everything in the sword one, because that's cool. The ice things they're fine, but most of them aren't innate anyway. I can make the sword ones innate, which I prefer. And once I had that scene of just being a total badass with the sword, I'm like, oh, this is more fun than freezing stuff. But yeah, I haven't been wanting to do a kind of epic game, because I've never really done that either. Or, like, I guess I played enough D&D games that by a certain point we became epic, but the way D&D is run, which is stupid, at least most of the time, you never really feel that because you're always fighting things on your level. So this is the first time I've actually felt epic in a game.
That's actually a shame, dude, that your D&D experience is like that.
Yeah, I mean, I know there are people that can run games and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
Well, people can definitely run things in different ways, too. So.
Yeah. I enjoyed the Planescape game, which we were 7th level in that. So that did work, and it wasn't like that. The main D&D game I played, though, was like one of the first games I played, and it was that's what turned me off of fantasy gaming in general, it was very hack and slash and very, routine and formulaic, and at the time I enjoyed it because I didn't know better, but then once I discovered other kinds of games, I was like, oh, well, okay. Besides, I'm not a crunch person, so D&D, I'm very much like Tim. I like the old school stuff because no crunch and not too many spells and whatnot.
I remember the first time when I played D&D, my friends introduced it to me. It was a 3.5, and I looked at it and I was like, all right, so what are the rules? And they started explaining it to me in the worst way possible. They're just throwing things at me left and right, and I'm looking at them going, what?
Info dump.
Oh. And then I see like the character sheet, and I'm looking at this. What is all this? Where's the rules? And then they throw a book at me. I'm like, oh, what? I gotta read this whole thing. Gotta be. Oh my! I absolutely hated the experience.
Yeah.
But I absolutely loved the fact that they had like maps and stuff. And so like I was enthralled enough to where like the first time I asked him, I was like, hey, can I borrow some graph paper? And I just went home and made like a dungeon right off the bat.
Nice.
Yeah. I still got it too. It's I called it like what was that called? I called it like the Maze of Gamelon or something.
Gamelon.
Mm-hmm. It was like I had this.
You ever watch Star Blazers? No.
I never got to play that. I saw it. I saw it on Amazon for like $300, and I was like, nope.
Well, even if you didn't play it, it was an anime too at the same time in the 70s.
Oh, it was?
Yeah. That's what Gamelon that they're flying to in the Yamato.
Yeah, okay, now I remember now. Yes.
Whenever I hear it, like, because it's so ingrained in as a child, watching that, like, those are the first animes I watched. And it's like 77, 78.
Yeah.
I'm old.
Actually, with this group, I was, since I think they'd run an interesting game, I was actually looking forward to, if we keep it together after Wars ends, playing a fantasy game that doesn't suck. Because I like the genre. There are so many. I think the proportion of games that I like that are my style in fantasy is probably lower than within other genres.
Yeah, so, I'm really not sure what's going to happen after this.
Yeah.
To be honest, I didn't expect as many attendance issues, but it's also Saturday. Saturday is kind of a rough day to try to run a game. I found so.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I've moved a lot of stuff around. Like, I mean, I usually get a lot of work done on Saturdays. Just yard work around the house and stuff like that. I'm not, especially with it coming to summer, winter, whatever. I'm sitting here doing nothing anyways during the Saturday, but
summer is coming.
It's coming, but I've just kind of done it. Now I do it because my game is on Sundays, so I play Sundays. We play 4 to midnight every Sunday, so I do it before that.
Oh wow, 4 to midnight? That's a long game.
Yeah, I mean, we eat in between there. Don't get me wrong, like there's a break where we eat, but yeah. Yep, that's how I've been running my D&D game forever.
That's awesome.
It's Path now. Homebrew Pathfinder, so I've had to change it.
Color me green with envy.
Yeah.
One of my old groups when I was with my last one, I think, he used to do these things where he used to play, and we would play. He wanted to pull off all-nighters on Sunday.
Wow.
So I would go over there, I would sit down, and we would play, and we would start from 12, and we would end at 6 in the morning.
Oh.
That's rough.
And, after 5 hours, I was already burnt out, because no one, they all liked combat and stuff, but when it came to character interactions, very sketchy. And, I was sitting there trying my best to keep myself entertained, but, I was doing this knowing that the DM was going to like trash the campaign within like 2 or 3 sessions, because this has been his pattern. We start a campaign, we make up a character, 2 or 3 sessions later, he goes, roll up new characters.
Oof.
New backstories.
Ouch.
And I'm sitting there like scratching my head going, I just spent hours trying to make up this character. I even wrote it in the format of a letter to her sister. Why? And it also got worse because like he likes to smoke cigars, and the apartment has a bunch of cats in it. So there's the cat hair, there's the cigar smell.
Oh man.
And I'm sitting there, my head's like throbbing, and I look at him and was like, can we open up a window? Just a window, just a smidgen. And I'm like putting my face up against, going, fresh air. Oh gosh. They've gotten pizza from Little Caesars and stuff, so that smell is in there. It's all accumulated in this. It's
percolating into this.
Yeah. It creates its own level of funk, and I'm like, all right, I could. This is going to be the next 7-8 hours. Let's do this.
Great. Thanks.
And cigars are really strong too, like more than other forms of tobacco I found.
Oh
just,
man,
like around cigar smoke versus other kinds of smoke. Like, whoa, holy crap!
I was like this the whole time, just had the shirt.
That sounds miserable.
He would look at me and he's like, oh, is the smoke bothering you? He'll go, yeah, I don't smoke. Jeez. It's a crowded room. It's not very big. All of us are in there. It's like that when I made a video talking about one of my worst sessions, and that was with the group that it happened with. They all sat there in silence for like 15 minutes after I, gave out the introductions and stuff, and no one said anything. And I'm like, what do you do? The guy's approaching you. What do you say? And like people are like on their phones, like, doing that, playing with dice and stuff. And I'm like, he's looking at you. What do you say? And then like one of my, like the DM that normally runs the group, he looks at me and goes, my character says nothing. She is silent. And I go, okay.
She doesn't speak.
That character is silent. What about everybody else that's there? What do you want to do?
Sometimes I hate asking that question, but sometimes I feel like I have to. It's like, okay. Tap, tap, tap.
That's you have to wean people off being passive, is you just keep asking them what they do, and eventually they're going to have to say something. Because if you don't give them anything to do until they tell you they do something, they're going to eventually sort of be trained like rats in a maze. Oh, this is the only way stuff is going to happen.
I've been trying to use, I don't know if you guys have noticed in this game, I've been trying to use silence too. Like, instead of like, I've been talking too much. I'm just going to be quiet and let the silence just sort of just linger up there until somebody talks.
I guess that works well with me because I'm not really a big fan of the silence. So when I either, as a GM, it's a little bit harder because I don't want to do all the talking. I want my players to do the talking. So I'll have an NPC try to engage them or something like that to try to get the ball rolling. But if I'm a player, I have to fill that. I want to fill that void. I don't want to hog the spotlight. I just want to like get something
happening.
Yeah.
I think I also have this problem where it's like, things are kind of slow. I should throw something at them. And I think, like you said, John, it's just too much sometimes.
Sometimes I wonder too, like, was it really slow, like, or is it just a perception that you're having because they seem to be conversing back and forth? And like a lot of times, depending who's in the scene, like specifically, like I noticed that Longbeard and Theo, if they're talking about sciencey crap, we'll just keep talking about it because it doesn't, because obviously we both like sci-fi, so we'll just keep throwing shit out there. And I don't want that to get boring either, but.
No, that's fun.
I
I don't think a lot of the other characters have had those moments.
Yeah, I'm really waiting for that to happen for other ones. Like, I made a purpose with Longbeard to make conversations with Theo, the Mavericks actually, because I didn't trust the Gungeons at first. And I've been waiting to have a scene with Alikov, which worked out. It was almost going to work out last week when he wanted to come sword training. I was like,
And then Baby Quay, and then I fell asleep. So.
That's funny.
Baby Quay and terrible negotiations and poor Kazuko. His dreams of the negotiations are now slowly shattering, and he has to
I think that's what he's thinking, but I mean, he's still.
Yeah.
I mean, he managed to broker a deal. They haven't killed the settlers yet.
Yeah, and we all walked out of there alive, which I don't think would normally happen in a Quay thing, the disagreement, you know.
Yeah.
Now we have little choppers, and choppers can be our next little pilot for our crashing fighter thingy.
Yeah, he's.
I feel like we're the Thunderbirds now.
Yeah.
We each have our own vehicle and stuff. So it's like, I imagine like a sequence where it's like, action team, go! And then we just like zip down the chutes and stuff and get our respective vehicles.
You have lots of options.
I like it. I feel like a mobile G.I. Joe unit now. It makes me feel good.
We should, if we could just take apart the Nobot, and then we could all have, like, I'll be an arm.
Yes!
Do some Voltron, you know?
We're gonna do some Voltron. And I'll form the head!
Guess who gets the grateful sword? Alakov. So we'll use his Kaizen power. just act for anything. World, it doesn't matter.
Tim, my new bonded blade is the Nobot sword.
I'm going to make a cockpit for each section of the body. They'll each look like a lion, so that they'll have mobility and stuff, and we'll just go about it like that.
So we actually got the Nobot? Because last time we left it with the Maverick people.
No. The Maverick guys still have it.
Well, today, Phil talked about breaking the campaign. He's like, I'm going to go and do stuff. It kind of sounded like you were going to commit genocide on all the Quay on the asteroid. But...
No, I was, that's just me anticipating the worst. Because I assumed that when the start of the next session, my thought process was, okay, here's what's going to happen. Tim's going to tell us that there's going to be a distress signal. Kazuko's going to get on there. He's going to see, like, Citizen Thane. I think that was his name.
Citizen Thane.
Thane. And he's like, he's just going to be talking, going, we don't know what happened. And just blood everywhere. And then like, Theo's going to be like, okay, let's deal with this. And he's just like going to walk up to the Mavericks, be like, I'm coming during the Nobot. You can charge me later.
Charge me later. What is
we're gonna unfortunately take care of this because these space Amish have now been killed.
See, I thought you were going to go up the faceplate and say, yeah, you know those aliens down there? Yeah, Nobot fuel.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, your power source. Nobot. That's.
Well, you got this Nobot up here, and that tank's looking like it's almost on E.
Now my head's really thinking that's a good idea.
Oh, man.
I don't think he was going to do that, though. But he's still teetering on the... He's no longer worried now since the AI unit inside the Nobot has now been dismantled. So he's safe about that.
I still think Bryce put a back door in there because that's totally his style. I think if we need the Nobot for something, he's going to be like, oh, okay, it's now ours.
Yeah, that's the scary part. He now controls it mentally.
We have a battleship. We could just turn our 50 turbo lasers on.
Oh, yeah.
And just incinerate the planet.
Just let him have it.
A new power in the universe is rising.
Oh, man. Longbeard needs to be a Commodore.
You guys get some dark side points?
I mean, seriously, I did think about that when we have, like, this massive fleet. We could just, like, become Black Bart in space and, like, screw going to the Rip. Let's just conquer everything.
Part of me with this crew wouldn't... That crew would totally be a great pirate crew. I don't know. It would be so...
With you being, like, super strength terrorist dude and me being swordsman and then us having a giant fleet, and, like, basically, yeah, we should just become pirates because I don't care about the mission anymore. And almost pretty much in character, I don't care about the mission anymore because we know not necessarily that my character wants to become a pirate, but we've seen the Quay, and he's, one, not very eager to go meet whatever the Quay we're running away from, and two, like, the Quay is a big deal, and we need to warn the rest of the galaxy about them. That seems more important than going and finding out if there's other more dangerous shit through the rift that might not, I mean, hell, we might even attract the attention of that stuff, and it comes through the rift chasing us, and it wouldn't have otherwise.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think the best thing really is just like, okay, we did our thing, we found out stuff that came through the rift, we found out about the Kism powers and the weird effects it can have, but we need to go, like, tell people about this stuff, because it's important, and we don't really need to learn anymore.
Actually, I was thinking about, it'd be a cool idea, because I don't know if we already did this before, but I was gonna, like, send out a general, like, info buoy to be sent out, that'll, like, admit all the information about what we've encountered so far, and, like, you know, just a general warning to be aware of these things.
Mm-hmm. Well, Tim had said originally that we could tap into the local, like, verse net that's always on, so, I mean, it would take a couple seconds just to send that out to everyone. Yeah.
Well, we'd have to provide tons of evidence and stuff because it might, you know, you want people to, like, believe it.
Yeah.
We'll have, like, live...
We have a living one right here.
That's right, yeah, we have live video feed.
Live video feed.
People will be, like, typing in the comments section below. Yeah, they'll be typing in the comments section below. Dude, that's totally fake, man. That's animatronic. I've seen stuff like that already.
It's CGI, man.
Yeah, this is
it's
fake.
Like 2012.
What is this, the 20th century? Please.
20th century, you fools.
Gosh, look at these guys.
Yeah, I think I want to get the Hellcats to join us. That'd be pretty sweet. You have attachments there.
Yes, I do. I have my character has some attachments. One of the allies is a Hellcat that I put on my character sheet.
Nice.
That's not like one of the things that no one else knows about is that one that the Hellcat in particular is his girlfriend. So that's one of the things can't wait to get around to. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And
she's your girlfriend. I know Longbeard knows that there's somebody that you know. Mm-hmm. It's important to you, but you were forthcoming, but not completely forthcoming.
Yeah, I didn't want to like spill the beans right off the bat. I was like, nope, this went.
We'll have to take another walk out on the ship again.
There's the rift.
Get you thinking about the rift and just get talking again.
That should be where all the character moments happen.
Yeah, on the outside of the ship.
On the outside of the ship.
Hey guys, I'm back. You guys are plotting to be pirates, which is totally fine, by the way. There's no, there's no tracks in this
deadbox. You can do what you want.
That's correct.
I'm interested in seeing how the Ganjin government's going to react now that your all's mission is done, basically. Like, you all accomplished what you all are going to do. Because, like, at the beginning, it sounded like that was going to be like a suicide mission for them.
Yeah.
In a way. So I wonder how they're going to end up treating them in the end.
I was thinking about bringing in some sort of, like, communication or something from Ganjin, which just never really came up. Like, maybe having you guys report what your findings were and so forth. But it's just...
Yeah, it would be interesting to actually see what Ganjin society is like beyond just what we've seen of how people react to it.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen Maverick society itself. We met a bunch of Mavericks, but we haven't really seen any Ganjin besides, well, the dead guys on the Ganjin ship, and then the pair characters who are Ganjin.
And those are pretty poor examples, mostly because that they were already brainwashed to an extent,
right.
And they weren't themselves at all.
So even though there haven't been any breaks, has the game been interesting? I guess that's maybe something to ask.
It has been extremely interesting.
Because you never know where it's going to... I mean, I wouldn't keep coming to play if it wasn't interesting.
Well, that's good. You did say you... well, I don't know. With Alikov, I mean, have you had the same sort of reaction to the game, or is it kind of burning out?
It's been a little too... I agree that it could use some more downtime, but what you're giving us is interesting. It just gets to a point where it's like, oh, and it's the crisis of the week again, and that kind of gets old. But the things you present are good, but it's like, there's like a Monster of the Week show where eventually you just get tired of the format, even if the individual episodes are good.
Then that's a legitimate, when I ask for feedback, and that's the kind of stuff I want to hear. It's like, oh.
Yeah, and that just goes to, I don't care for the purely episodic style of storytelling in general. So, I prefer a story that like builds on previous elements and stuff. So, that's just personal preference. It's not saying that your version is bad. It's just a genre or a style or whatever that I'm less fond of.
Yeah, I mean, other people have said that I'm kind of a active GM. Like, I don't know. I
do the exact same thing too. So I cut you slack. Like I have the same problem if I just throw wacky shit at people because I had this idea and I want to immediately use it.
I always when I try to run games, I've always tried to I always try to avoid railroading people because I don't want to tell them what to do all the time. I try to let them make decisions, but I want to try to reach a certain balance where it's like I throw a slight nudge, they take into a direction, and then they kind of carry it through, and then I will come in and add to that.
Yeah, and there's a difference between railroading people and throwing stuff at them that they're forced to deal with by the nature of whatever it is, which is what I do, what Tim does. It's more like, there's an immediate problem you must fix because it pertains to your safety, like there's somebody attacking you. That's different from, you have to go to this town and do this particular quest because I'm railroading you to do it.
Yeah. I definitely don't do that, but I think I do present, I don't know, problems, and then
you present problems a lot.
I don't. Yeah, I do that too much. I think, or I think I just maybe it's just because I find it fascinating just how people solve those problems.
How do we react to them?
Yeah, like oh wow, I never thought about that. I think I even mentioned the one time, it's like, I had no idea how you guys were going to get out of that situation, but you guys managed to,
I think you have cool, interesting ideas, and you want to see how people react to them, and you want to use them immediately. I do the same thing, but it can get annoying or it can not get annoying, but it can kind of stifle other things because we never have time to do other things because it's always, when's the next thing going to blow up?
Well, I've also kind of seen, too, the character-on-character thing, or interaction. There have been sort of times where I think I anticipated more of that, and it didn't happen. Even the sitting around the table, that was, down on the asteroid. It's like, there's a lot of stuff that could be talked about here, but then you said, well, we don't want to talk about that stuff in front of strangers. I'm like, okay, I kind of understand that.
I didn't want to. I mean, they were provincial farmer people, and we were going to be. We would have been talking about crazy superpowers and aliens and all this stuff, and then I thought we were going to get kicked out or create this pitchfork and torches mob or something because they were already very isolationist. So if the first people, one of the first groups of people that comes in from outside that they see is talking about all this dangerous stuff, it'll just make them even more afraid of the world.
Longbeard doesn't trust them, so I wasn't going to say crap around them. As soon as I could, I got off there. I was like, I'm out of here.
Yeah, it's not like I was afraid they were going to steal from us. I just knew they didn't trust us, and I thought if we scared them too much, they'd react badly.
Well, Jebediah, it looks like we got ourselves a devil's work here.
Yeah.
Let's get out the ancient weapons of the forefathers.
Yeah, I was thinking of the Firefly episode with the provincial settlers where, they seem all nice and then they find out about River and they're like, witch, die! Because it's something they don't understand. And I figured the same thing if they, found out about Artisan powers or the aliens or anything.
Possible, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, to echo everyone else, I think the game's been incredibly interesting. It's just that... Like what I was saying, the span of actual time within the game it's only been almost a week, and we've experienced these things almost non-stop. So there's
and we have to keep reminding ourselves how little we've slept.
Yeah, I know Theo hasn't slept very much, and already name overload. Longbeard was already He was already suffering from it, so now he's out now.
Yeah, I'm out. Thanks a lot, guys.
Those look like quantum filament particles?
It's full of stars.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I specifically missed that one day of sleep, and I'm assuming that's, that was the only day where we had a full day of rest, which actually led into, I thought, a really cool RP thing where the doctor was accusing me of doing things, and we had that little discussion with Alikoff, the captains.
I like that.
That was a cool interaction, I thought, between them.
Yeah. I like how the captain constantly changes. Like every scene he's in is like, what version are we gonna get now? Is he gonna be calm and normal and actually like a good negotiator, or is he gonna be a psychopath who wants to kill everything? What? And a lot of that is down to my mood leading into him, but a lot of it too is just, I don't know. I start acting some way and then I realize, wait, this is completely different from how he's always acted before. But it makes it more interesting.
But see, your character in that thing changed Longbeard's views on, like, whether he could trust the dungeon or not. Because you dealt with him fairly, you agreed with a lot of the things that I said. So that made Longbeard less likely to turn on you or against Kazuko. Which at that time I was trying to create, once I got the implant taken off, I was trying to create who was he, like I would faction off to who I would like. I got along with Theo, I knew that. Bryce I didn't really know. Kazuko was kind of too meditative for my taste. And that left you. And it's like, well, I'm going to see what the captain is. And because you agreed with me and you seemed straightforward and honest, I was like, all right. I can
I had the same thing with you, because after my sort of changing moment of kind of no one on the crew trusting me, like, I really don't, the doctor and I don't get along. I don't get along with most of the Mavericks or I'm not going to gravitate to most of the Mavericks because they're Mavericks. And I have the same problem with Kazuko you do. I mean, I get along with him in a way, but he's too meditative. And so the guy I identified with was Longbeard, even though he's a terrorist against the government I'm still loyal to. Because, like, mentally we click. Like, the way we think seems to work well together. So I found a kindred spirit in you, even if our causes are different. And that's why I was treating you fairly. It felt like I understood the way you thought, and I was, at the time, kind of trying to figure out how to deal with people, because my brain had changed, and I realized I was kind of mentally screwed up. And it's like, finally somebody I can talk to that I don't have to worry about how they're gonna view me, or I'm gonna say something horrible and get shit for it or something.
Well, let me ask you this, John. Throw a completely different curveball at you. If you were running this campaign, what would you have done differently? It's a pretty big curveball.
Oh, that's a huge curveball. I'm not sure. I mean, technically, like, the storylines obviously might be different, only because I might not have asked Philip to give me ideas or something like that. But I would usually. I try to, when I'm running the games, I try to space them out more, things that happen. And that's not, that's all dependent on the players that you have. Like in this group, I feel like obviously that's something that could happen. But with my D&D group, that might not be as good. Might not be able to give them as much space. They kind of like to be led sometimes. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they do. You know what I mean? You almost have to know your players. Yeah. Everyone plays slightly different, so you kind of have to play with them a little bit and know.
Well, I think actually everyone except for Rohir, I think in this group I've never played with. I don't think.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at. Yeah. Like, you have no idea what we are looking for gaming, except for maybe our videos or conversations we might have had. So it's hard to say what we were. And I didn't know what to expect from your game either. You said you were going to try some new things with the narratives as well, which I find really cool because that's not something that I normally get to engage in my normal gaming. Just because that's not how my players interact with each other. And I don't play. Obviously, I'm a DM. They're different positions. But yeah, I might space things out a little bit with encounters. Yeah, only because I just the amount of tension I think that was there. But besides that, that's the only thing that I probably would have done differently.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, and that's kind of echoing what Alikov was saying too. So
maybe not give them a bunch of ships. I don't know.
It's awesome as a player to have.
It seems like that could be game breaking in my mind. Like if we want to just be douchebags, if we want to get that
between our Jism powers and our ships, we could conquer the galaxy.
Yeah, well, like I said, most of the time I'm kind of fearful of power in general. I'm kind of more low power type stuff. And like I said, this time I said, I'm going to throw caution to the wind and just give them everything. And see
but I have been kind of the one kind of game that I'm still really interested in playing is kind of an epic game because, like I said, I've never done that. So that's why I'm pushing for let's go be pirates and go do our own thing and just be awesome because we have all this power. And this is the first game I've ever played where I've really had this power and had the ability to. It has been sandboxed enough that I had really the chance to use it. So I'd even though my character would be very wanting to do what the country government wanted and everything, I'm I want to go off and do other stuff and just conquer things and and exploit all of this.
Well, I'll throw the ball right back at you, Phil. Same thing. How would you have done things different in this campaign, do you think? Because, I mean, you kind of threw a bunch of episodic ideas at me, so it was I kind of thought that was... But yeah, with the other stuff, just, I don't know, in general.
I would have, again, I wouldn't have thrown that much, that time span. But just like what John said, it really depends on your players and stuff. And I often have the same reaction when it comes to power because, I know some of my players to the point where I know if I give them something, they're going to. I guess the term here, they wouldn't use it the way their characters would use it, the way they would want to use it, per se. And I'm all right, well, I can, if that's the way they want to do it, that's fine. So a lot of times I feel a little bit more cautious about it. But I suppose if I was running this, I would try to do the episodic thing, but I would also try to play off of what everyone else wanted. I was with some of the episode ideas. I wanted to make a little mini character arcs. So there would be a series of sessions that might revolve around one character, but it wouldn't just be exclusively just them. Everyone would be involved. But it's now we get a lot of knowledge on what this individual is doing, and then maybe a few sessions later, the next player, and so on and so forth, and kind of, I suppose, go around the table like that.
The only thing that's tough with that kind of stuff I've seen is if that player's absent.
Yeah.
It kind of throws that kind of stuff, you get kind of shoved off to the side or something.
I think that does actually hurt in many ways. If you gave us time and I was looking for an interaction with Kazuko and say David wasn't there that day, you gave the time, but his character wasn't there. Yeah. And because it's something that's based on backstory or something I might want to talk to him about, I wouldn't want, Phil or Alex or someone to have to do that scene. It's like when I was playing David's character and you show the arm. It's
that was
about his backstory, and I wasn't sure what to do.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's another.
I would have said something once it's seen, but that's kind of a big story plot for him, and I don't want to take that into it. I don't want to be playing that.
I guess I'm experimenting with that in this group too. I've never had other players play all of the characters. Attendance issues are always a pain, no matter how you deal with them. Either you put them in a bubble, or they're the silent partner, or you put them in a coma every other week. They get a strange space disease. I don't know, whatever.
One thing with the space, though, it seems that, say Phil couldn't make it or something like that, in a game where nothing's super, if it was just one of the ones where it wasn't something that was immediately going to happen, there's nothing saying that Phil wouldn't have spent his time in the engineering bay fixing things.
That's true.
We would have those options. So it's just that when immediately something happens and it destroys our ship, we have to jump into Phil's body and say, "Oh, come on, Theo, let's get."
Yeah.
I feel like Pawns sometimes jumping into other people's bodies to take control of them temporarily.
I think sometimes I run a campaign like an 80s action movie or something. It's just too much.
Yeah, I don't know. No, I don't know. I still don't think I would have run. Hindsight's 20/20, right? I can easily say, I would have done it better because, I could have done this, but I probably would have been doing the same thing. You want to keep people entertained. You want to make sure they have stuff that they can interact with. I might have been doing the same thing. I might have been throwing a lot of stuff at people, right off the bat.
I think that's part of my problem. I feel like I have to entertain everyone, and if it's like a preconceived or ill-conceived kind of thing, it's it's getting slow. It's not. It's just I think I jumped the gun. I don't know. Like, even that, the infant thing, that could have waited. Or it just could have not happened, but, I don't know. This is one of those things.
Yeah, it could. I guess technically it could have waited. Or, like you said, it could have not happened. Or,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know the gestation period of a quay. So yeah. I don't know how long he could have waited.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, I remember I typed that in. I'm like, I think there are quay bodies lying around the ship. When they went back in there, I'm thinking, that's going to smell, man. There's no way.
Yeah, thanks for that, by the way. That was a good suggestion.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I think I gotta get going.
What time is it? 4:30?
Yeah, I gotta clean up and stuff.
Oh, man, now I gotta go yard work. Oh. Sure you don't need to talk for another 8 hours?
But thanks for chatting, guys.
Guys, you know what I wanted to mention, too, is, you know what's been intriguing me is that Bryce's Dream, I really enjoyed everyone's characters when we did that. I think that would be a really cool game. Remember Bryce's Dream? Where, you were playing the commander, and we had James Bond, Alex over there, and I don't know. That really fun. It's a really fun. I had a lot of fun doing that. It was just a side dream, which is a little weird. So that'd be a cool campaign. Right?
You talk about maybe set up some people where they
sort of weird cyber thing. I don't know. I've never played a game like that before.
Like study dreams, or they come up with some new technology to enter people's dreams. You could do that in Changeling the Lost. Actually, they do stuff with dreams a lot, or they could. You can do dream type stuff, but that game's sort of all over the map too. There's a lot of stuff you can do in that game.
Yes, it is a game of weirdness. Well, in a game called the Game of Beautiful Madness, you can pretty much do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Not quite as much as Mage for that, which you could go into a world ruled by dinosaurs and who enslaved puppies and created the Nazi Empire run by robots. Whatever.
That old trope. T-Rex walking a poodle now. Little arm.
Oh.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun doing those dreams with you guys. I think that's where the collaborative kind of thing really shone through. People just jumped in whenever.
Everybody just seemed to immediately have a character that was so unique when they did that. Like Phil had that down, man. You must watch a lot of anime because you had that. You had that, the speech pattern of everything. Get it done, Rocket.
Oh, you mean like when we were doing the dream sequence for
Bryce?
Captain?
Yeah. This is right when we were doing that too. Yeah, you had the Captain.
Yeah, no, that wasn't Bryce. That was
It wasn't Bryce's, the one where I played Rocket and Alex played his Ian Fleming character with the thing. He was knocking the cameras out with knives.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He's trying to sneak, but he really wasn't.
Yeah.
That was fun. I loved that guy.
I do watch a lot of anime for that, and I was thinking of Ghost in the Shell, and the image I was having.
Yes.
That's what I was thinking, because he had that little helmet on his head that's kind of like part of his skull too, and he's just sitting there and the way I was describing was like, this is gonna be Ghost in the Shell right now, because that's what it reminds me of. It's so.
Yeah, you have voice patterns down, because as soon as you started talking, I was like, oh my god, that's just like that guy. I'm like, it's really.
Yeah, being this sleazy cyberpunk.
Yeah, exactly.
It's time to get in there and do the job.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. Just like that. I was like, I know that guy. All right, guys. Thanks for gaming. Phil, thanks for running a one-shot. So we hit some.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Anytime.
All right, guys. I'll talk to you later.
Ciao.
See you guys.
Look at their cheeks.